Good morning. Welcome into another installment of Your Life Matters with clinical social worker Dr. Beth Plachetka from Safe Harbor Counseling and Dr. Beth Speaks. And Dr. Beth is with us in studio once again. Good morning, Doctor.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
We're doing all right. How are you today?
I'm good, and I love this fall weather. This is beautiful.
Yeah, we're in that time of year, and colors are changing. The leaves are falling. Then it'll be all bleak and gray and brown and not very attractive. But this is certainly a nice time. We're kind of in the midst of the workplace bullying series, right?
Right, because October is Bullying Prevention Month. And, one of the things that I don't think I've ever talked about before is like, where, to quote Harry Truman, does the buck stop? I mean, he used to say, he used to have a little thing on his desk that says, the buck stops here. Now, I don't know if you behave that way. I haven't studied that part of history, but we have to know who ultimately is responsible. And, we've talked about all the stuff that it looks like and what the bully's like. And it's very easy, and I'm going to say appropriate, to say that the bully is responsible for their behavior. However, the culture and the policies and the procedures are not established by the bully. If there's something going on, 100%, the top has to stop it. Even if they have to go say to the person who's supervising above the bully, take care of that. I've got your back. Because what we see is that there's all these hidden relationships and things that people worry about, and they don't want to rock the boat, or they've got a friend, or they've made a deal, or there's not a person alive who's perfect, who would ever say, I've done everything perfectly at work, no one has anything against me. So they're going to dig up dirt if you start rocking the boat.
Right.
So we always say the witnesses and the bystanders have power. Yes, they do. They do a great job in supporting the target, because the target thinks they're losing their mind. I mean, it's really awful, and we'll get to that, but next week. But it's really, if you really want to change the culture, it has to come from the top. So I'm talking about if it's governed by a board, the president of the board and the board have to make the policies and say this is the type of business that we want to have. If it's a president, if it's a superintendent of a school or of an organization, no matter what the title. And I'm going to say, even if you think as small as a home, if one of the kids is picking on the other ones all the time, if the parents don't stop it, it doesn't matter how many other children they have who see it and say, hey, stop that. If mom and dad let them get away with it, it's going to happen. Somebody has to be in charge, and somebody has to know that they have to take action. So I've always said protection in the process, safety in the system. If you have a policy and a procedure, follow it. Go back to it. There was one vice president of an electronic company one time was talking to me about this kind of stuff. And he said, some people came to him and he said, have you talked to each other? Our handbook says, go to the person and say, I don't like this. As soon as you've done that, come back to me and we'll do it that way. And, they followed the procedure and it was worked out. Everybody had an agreeable outcome. We need those kinds of things. You can't just, badmouth somebody else and then make it look like you're the saint. So follow the procedure and the policy. Require that they're enforced to all employees. I don't care if you're the boss's son, the owner's son. No special consideration for favors offered or provided for family members. And if policies and procedures aren't effective, change them. You do one thing when your kids are little, and as they get older, you have to have a different process. Same thing with companies. So bystanders and witnesses can only intervene if action is taken by those in charge. It's the person at the top who needs to do it. And to whom much is given, much is required. We are accountable not only to our stakeholders and our employees, but to the greater good and to God himself about how we handle our responsibilities. So if you're in charge,